I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 336. Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. How are you? That's a deep question when I ask it. You can ask any of my clients who work with me. When I ask that question, it always starts the beginning of our session because I don't mean like, how are you fine? How are you fine? I mean, how are you? And I just want you to think about that for a minute. How are you? If you would really be honest, how are you feeling today? Give yourself a little answer and just think about it as we talk about today's topic. So, for today, the thing that I most want to talk about with you today in talking about feelings, how are you? I really want to talk about another podcast listener who sent me a letter this week. And as you remember, the podcast that I did last week, 335, was also answering a podcast letter. I'm getting more and more letters, and I know I can't answer them all, but it seems like it would really resonate with a lot of people. I like to use the letter on the podcast because I think it'll help more than just one person. And this letter is exactly what this is. I have a feeling that there's a lot of you that it will resonate with. And every podcast that I do, I want it to be of service to you and to help you understand your mind better, to help you understand your relationship with food better, and more important, to help you have a better relationship with yourself. Because let's be very, very honest about this. Everything that I do with food is only to help you have a better relationship with yourself. Food is really not the problem. It's truly the relationship with yourself and your own belief systems and your own mind management. And that is everything that I teach on this podcast. It's everything that I teach when I'm doing my own individual coaching with all of my clients. And not to mention the new, which I've been talking about, I have something new coming your way. It's a little bit of individual coaching, it's a little bit of group coaching, and it's a little bit more about working on your own with all my updated materials because that is what I've been doing over the last year is updating everything that I do, questioning all the things that I teach and deciding which things I want to keep, which things I want to change around a little bit and how I want to do it. And that is exactly what I have done. And when this new course group comes out, it will be all of this. So if you're interested in being one of the first to know and one of the first to be able to sign up, then you need to go to drdebbutler.com/new. And you can get this link in my show notes by going to drdebbutler.com/336, which is the episode number today. I don't want to give you too much information, overload you, but just know that anything that I mention on this podcast is all in my show notes. And my show notes, you can always get them by putting in drdebbutler.com, which is the name of my website, /the episode number. So for today, the episode number is 336. And in there, you can get the link if you want to find out about my new course that's coming up. Or you can also go there and you can read everything that I've done that I'm going to do today. You can read it if you want, because it kind of gives you a general idea of everything that I'm talking about. And the other thing that it's going to have on it, and I know I'm filling your head up with links, but I want you to know that I actually have a new link now where if you would like to leave me a voicemail instead of writing me a letter for a lot like for me, talking is so much easier than writing. If writing is easier for you, you can always send me a letter. But if talking is easier for you, then I have a link where you can actually leave me a voicemail. It's very, very simple. It goes directly to me. I'll play it on this podcast and I'll answer it on this podcast. I'm really excited to use that. But like I said, I got a lot of new stuff and I don't want to overwhelm you. But all of this is if you go to drdebbutler.com/336, you can get any of these links to leave me a voicemail or to sign up and be one of the first to be on my wait list for all my new stuff that's coming out. Okay. So now, as I was talking about, I want to read you another letter that one of my wonderful podcast listeners sent. And like I said, I really believe it'll be helpful for all of you. So I'm going to read the letter first and then I'm going to answer it. And when I answer it, it's going to be as if I'm coaching her. And if you find that you have the same kind of issues or questions, I'll be coaching you too because I ask questions and then I'm going to give you some answers. If it works for you, keep it. If it doesn't resonate with you, let it go because that's the way it works. Coaching, when I'm working very specifically with a client, is all things that resonate. And when things don't resonate, I already know that and I coach in a different way. But since I'm generally answering a question to somebody that I don't know, I know a lot of you have the same question. So, hang out, listen, take in what you need, what you don't need, let it go. Okay, here's the letter. She made the subject refining my relationship with food. Hi, Dr. Dev. I've been enjoying your podcast and companion guide. I'm well into an over 30-year journey struggle with normal eating. I've overeaten since I was a kid and I'll be 51. I've been a food restrictor, Weight Watcher, and she puts in parentheses, it was a good stepping stone for me. And she also said I'm a carb tracker and a calorie counter. I'm attached to my tracker and my scale. Since I started listening to you, I have become more aware of my hunger fullness. My struggle is not wanting to end the pleasure of eating and eating more than I plan and eating past my fullness cues. Looking forward to your input. Okay. So her question is to me is first of all, when I'm listening to her background, I understand that she believes that she's still in a struggle and she's been in it since she's been a kid. And I can totally relate to that. And I know a lot of you can relate to that, that all of this disconnection started when we were very young, when we didn't know any better, what would be better for us. And we listened to a lot of different people. And like her, I was a big old Weight Watcher fan too, and I understand that there's a lot of good things about it. And I think, in all the things that she mentioned, I think all the information can be helpful as long as you use it as a way of learning to connect into your body, what works for your body. Now, the big question that she asked me, and I'm going to read it again and I'm going to answer it, is my struggle is not wanting to end the pleasure of eating and eating more than I plan and eating past my fullness cues. Okay, so this is how I'm going to answer it. First of all, she believes that it's pleasurable to overeat. That's what she's saying. It's not wanting to end the pleasure of eating. Now, this is what I want to say, and I totally understand it. And I've talked about it a lot to my coach friends is when you're eating a meal and the food tastes really good, how do you stop when your body says stop, even though the food tastes good? And this is the way that I want to put it. First of all, you have to decide that it is not pleasurable to keep eating when you're full. You have to stop thinking that because here's the truth. When you overeat, I don't care if the food is delicious. I don't care if the food isn't delicious because you can go both ways. But when you tell yourself that the reason that you're eating is it's because it's so pleasurable, when you tell yourself that, your brain loves pleasure and it is not going to want to stop. It's like saying, I don't want to end this pleasurable experience, basically. That's the thought. And when you think something like that, the feeling is immediately going to feel deprived or restricted. And I will tell you, whenever you have a feeling of deprivation or restriction, the action will be to continue to eat always. It is very hard when you feel restricted not to want to overeat. So, here's my first question. Is it really pleasurable to eat when your body says stop, even if the food is delicious and it tastes good? So, this is the way I look at it. When I'm hungry and it's time for me to eat, a -2, and I'm working with my clients, same thing. It is pleasurable to eat fuel food when you're hungry. But it's also very pleasurable to stop when your body says stop at a +2. It's more pleasurable to stop myself from overeating than to overeat. And this is where I want this listener to think about is that what you tell yourself is why you're doing what you're doing. And I really can relate to it. And I think about it sometimes like a really great movie. And I've talked about this. You know, when you're watching a great movie and it's over, and maybe you're disappointed, or a great book and it ends and you really don't want it to end because it's so good. You want to keep on reading it, but it's over. And I think the most beautiful way that you can do that in respect for yourself and for the experience, because let's say the book was wonderful. Let's say the movie was wonderful. Let's say the meal was wonderful. It tasted fantastic, right? You ate when you're hungry, but your body says it's over. The credits are running if it's the movie, basically telling you it's over. At the end of the book, when it's over, it's over. And you can give yourself a moment to go, "Oh," like, you can enjoy even almost like that feeling of, "Gosh, that was so good." And you can savor that moment of how good it feels to enjoy something, a book, a movie, or a meal. But you can't keep watching a movie when it's over because it's over. You can't keep reading a book because it's over, but you can savor it and you can hold on to that beautiful story and sit with it. It's almost like inclining your mind towards joy. You don't have to let it go so fast. You can still be there with it after it's over, but you don't have to keep eating it because when we're really talking about a meal and not talking about a movie or a book, it's over. So you're going to have to figure out a way in your mind to say it's over, which you will. And what I'm saying with that is savor it. Don't let it go so fast. Enjoy it. And I'm basically saying the same thing when a meal is over and you're at a +2 and it was a wonderful experience. And I will tell you this, I think whenever you're eating a meal, a beautiful fuel meal, a beautiful fuel joy meal, eating between the twos, I think it should be enjoyable. I think you should savor it. I think it should be pleasurable. But what I want you to start thinking about this, there is no pleasure in overeating, no matter how good it is, no matter how fun it is, no matter how anything it is. When your body says stop, it's over. And respecting your body is so much more pleasurable than eating when you're not hungry. And it really is just a strong neural pathway that this podcast listener has ended up creating in her own brain since she was a little kid, probably. That's why she's telling me it's been like a 30-year journey. And I get it because it was a huge journey for me too. And I know for most of you that listen to me, it's a huge journey for you too. But I don't want you to think it's not pleasurable to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, to eat food that tastes delicious, especially when it's fuel food. Because I think a beautiful fuel meal, eating between the twos, is pleasurable. And I think the pleasure goes when I go beyond the +2. It doesn't feel good anymore. It's not pleasurable. There's nothing good about it when it's over. And for this listener, I want her to think about how pleasurable is it to continually overeat because you think something that doesn't serve you, doesn't get you what you want. So I think there are a lot of other things here that can be worked on in terms of being attached to the scale, being attached to a tracker. And I think what would be a beautiful thing to think about too is learning how to be attached to your body first. It's okay to understand things about food. It's okay, but in the end, your body rules. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, understand your numbers. And when you know you're going beyond a +2, no matter what your brain has to offer you, it's not true. Your body is giving you the truth. It's telling you to stop. And that is the most pleasurable thing you will ever do for yourself is being connected to your body, being respectful of your body, and stopping when your body says stop. It's the way it was wired from the minute you were born. And the only reason it's not like that anymore because you started as a young child doing new pathways, learning new things that did not serve you. Welcome to the club. Happened to me. It probably happened to a lot of people who are listening to this podcast. But when you hear me today, know if it's not serving you, it is really not a pleasurable experience. The pleasure is over when your body says stop. And you can even be disappointed about it. But I would rather you be disappointed because it was a beautiful meal, a beautiful movie, a beautiful book, but not overindulge in it. That's the most pleasurable thing you will ever do for yourself. It's the best connection you will ever have. And it's the beginning of having a relationship with you and respecting what you really, really want. So I hope this is helpful. I know I've given you a lot of information today, and I have a lot of links for you to have a look at if you want to leave me a voicemail or write me a letter. But you can always go to drdebbutler.com/336. That's this episode number where it will have all this information. And I sure hope that this whole thing about this pleasurable experience about eating, you all take heart to because you really have to rethink what is pleasurable. And if the result you get is not pleasurable, then it is not a pleasurable experience. All right, all you lovely, lovely people all over the world, whatever you do, wherever you go today and this week, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself and respectful of yourself. And I will see you next week. Bye bye.
If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change. CHANGE.